the annotation configuration, and bin is one of the most used usually in Spring. In this video, we're gonna see like how to use configuration annotation and the bin annotation. So first, we would like to specify that we have a class called appConfig where we are going to use the annotation configuration, and then we also have a user DTO that we are going to use also to explain it. As we saw in the different videos, we have 4 ways of creating an instance in Spring. The first one is with the annotation controller, the second one is with the annotation service, the third one is the annotation repository, and the last one is with the annotation component. If you have not seen that video yet, I'll let you the video up here so you can just click it easily. But the main problem of using this annotation is what happens if we don't want to create an instance and letting Spring to create the instance by itself. For example, we would like to create an instance of user DTO because we would like to inject it somehow in other class but manipulated by Spring. That's why we have the configuration class. The configuration class is all the classes that contains all the custom bins that we would like to create. So in order to do that, we need to add configuration annotation to this class to specify that this class has methods that create instances that needs to be storage in the Spring's context. But of course, as we said, configuration classes needs these methods in order to create this instance inside of the Spring. So for example, we could create a new method that is returning user DTO that it says create user, and we return a new user with the name John. In this way, it has nothing to do with Spring. Even though we have the annotation configuration, it will not be enough to Spring to know that this instance that you are returning needs to be managed by Spring. So that's why we have the annotation bin. With the annotation bin inside of the classes, with the annotation configuration is specifying that this instance that we are returning in our method has to be managed by Spring. The application context of our app, and we get all the bins names and we loop them and print them by the console and run our program, we can see that the Spring has a bin named createUser because it's using the method name as ID in order to create our instance new user DTO with the name John. So now even we can just inject user DTO as user DTO, and then we can just do system.out.println the user DTO name is user DTO.name. So if we reboot our application again, we can see now in our console that the user DTO name is John because in our configuration class with the annotation bin create user, we are specifying that the instance what we're creating is with the name John. But of course, if we change the name and we reboot our project again, we can see that now the username is Michael and not John, since the instance contains the string Michael and not John as before. And still we can inject them in our constructor in the user controller and be manipulated by Spring. So these are the functionality of using the annotation configuration and the annotation bin in Spring Boot framework. I hope that you really like it. If you have any question or comment, do not forget to let it in the comment section that I will try to answer them as soon as possible. Again, I hope that you really like the video. Don't forget to subscribe and give them a like if you really like it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!